when their opponents have scored more than 70 points. So he thinks it's simple. Get to 75 and LSU wins this game, or get to 70 and LSU wins this game.
SEC Saturday afternoon basketball. Where else would you rather be, my friend? Tigers and Dogs today.
Yes, indeed. Should be a fun one.
Waters among the trees inside said no fear his freshman season. Dwop Reith back in the starting lineup. Didn't start against Vandy. He's been nursing a hurt ankle. There's only 5 left on the shot clock. Watch Waters from 30 feet. It's too strong.
Georgia going with a more physical starting lineup with Derek Obeyday along with Yante Maton inside. The LSU Tigers not a good rebounding team. So Georgia trying to take advantage of LSU on the boards.
And as Parker off the glass too strong, fights for the rebound, tipped around, and Reith corrals it.
Nice hustle by Dwop Reith to come up with that basketball.
It's a 3-ball by Darrell Edwards. Edwards with the first shot of the game, the junior from Fresno, California.
Junior college transfer. Darrell Edwards hitting a big shot for LSU. The outside jumper is going to be absolutely critical for the Tigers today.
Hightower feeds Maton. Maton triple teamed inside, has to pitch it back outside. This is Parker for 3.
Nice ball movement by Georgia. They get it inside, let Yante Maton touch it, force that defense to collapse, and they can move it around. Find the open shooter, Parker, with the payoff.
Ready with his graduate degree in hand. From the corner on the line, they give him a 3. That's Aaron Epps at his feet. We're behind the line, and a couple of 3s for LSU to start off with.
Great drive by Vermont Waters. When he can get to the basket, that collapses the defense. You know, it's so important offensively to get the ball into the paint, force that defense to collapse. These two teams do it in different ways.
Turtle Jackson way off the mark, and here comes Waters. Waters, 94 feet at the last minute, dishes it to Reith.
My goodness, he is an absolute magician with that basketball. It's Vermont Waters driving it into traffic, forcing 2 Georgia Bulldogs to pick him up, and a last-minute drop-off to Reith, getting him an easy opportunity and foul shots.
We showed you Waters' numbers in his last couple of games against Vandy on Tuesday night, 28 points, 9 assists. Against the Doors, Reith limited in that game due to an ankle injury as he makes the free throw. Now, you were there when he aggravated that ankle injury against Arkansas, but Dwop's been terrific since.
Oh, he had Daniel Gafford from Arkansas, 6'10", 234-pounder, fall on that ankle, on the left ankle. So Reith has had a little bit of trouble staying on the court for LSU at times since then. That was February 3rd. But Dwop Reith going to be critical today against Georgia's physical front line.
Look at Maton battle against the trees inside and gets it to go in.
Yante Maton, good ball handler, able to get to the basket.
Again, flying down the floor is Waters this time. A whistle on Epps for a travel.
Yante Maton putting it on the floor, dipping that shoulder into Aaron Epps to create just enough room to get the shot off.
SEC career active leader in points, rebounds, and blocks. What a career. The senior from Pontiac, Michigan.
Yante Maton needing 7 points to move into 3rd place on Georgia's all-time scoring list.
That was coming in, almost misses that, almost got that one to go. Too strong, put back by Obeyday, and the rebound goes to Skylar Mays.
Taylor was interesting talking to Coach Wade before this game. He just said, you know, Georgia's going to beat us on the boards. You know, not like we have to battle, we have to hang in there. It's just a matter of fact. Georgia's going to beat us on the board.
How about the block from Maton? Obeyday's left-hand hook is too strong, and it's back in the hands of Waters. Let's see if he goes into the paint again after Maton blocked this shot the last time. Oh, yes, he does, but he kicks it out, and LSU restarts their offense.
Good job by LSU with their players staying at home, not collapsing on Waters.
And out for Reith. Payday lobs it in to Yante. Tried to feed Maton again inside with the right hand, and it's good. He's now only 3 points away from a tie for 3rd place in Georgia scoring history.
Nice ball movement by Georgia. They get it to Yante Maton twice. The first time, I thought Maton should have taken the shot. He had the ball in the lane, but passed it back out. His teammates did a great job giving him another crack at it.
Reef battling inside with Maton, loses control.
Nice knee by Yante Maton. Didn't go for the head fake and got his hand on the basketball.
Hightower draws some activity and one. Tishon Hightower, the freshman from Lithonia, Georgia, gets bumped by Mays. Georgia with the early 9-7 lead. Some of the biggest schools in college basketball implicated in the story. LSU had some former players in Jarrell Martin and Tim Quarterman that were both named in that story. Former coach Johnny Jones released a statement saying he had no knowledge of them accepting any money. Joe Oliva, the LSU athletic director, also came out with this statement, and it basically is a paraphrasing what all of us feel, being so deeply disappointed by what's going on right now in college basketball. Current coach Will Wade has had no comment about this story involving former players, which of course he did not coach. Will is in his first season with LSU. Georgia 9-7. Tishon Hightower trying to finish the three-point play, and does. It's a 7-0 Georgia run.
Hightower getting the start today, and with his height and length, getting the assignment to harass Tremont Waters.
And he does just that.
A little too much.
A little too much on Hightower there. Again, he's been out in and out of the starting lineup. He made his first career start against LSU on January 16th and had a terrific game, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, played 27 minutes, which is why Coach Fox went to him to start the game here today. Being removed from the lineup, at least momentarily, as Nicholas Claxton checks in. Georgia will go big. Waters goes for the 3, and it's in and out.
Pace of this game, a relatively high scoring first few minutes of the game in favor of LSU.
It is Tyree Crump off the bench drawing the foul, getting to the charity stripe. Foul on Epps. That's his first. Crump, the sophomore from Bainbridge, Georgia. It was interesting what Coach Fox told us about Tyree before today's game, how he's had to learn how to play the 1 and the 2 all season long.
As a freshman getting into college basketball, it's a huge adjustment, and not being slotted into just one spot made that a more difficult adjustment for Tyree Crump. But as the season has gone along, he's gained more experience and feeling more comfortable on the court.
75% free throw shooter, at an outstanding performance in the win against St. Mary's, one of Georgia's 6 Q1 wins this year. So Georgia now on a 9-0 run with a 5-point lead.
LSU got the scoring pace and the pace of this game where they want it. They got to convert on their scoring opportunities.
Driving baseline. How about that strong move from Skylar Mays?
The ball movement from LSU. They got it inside to Dwop Reef. The Georgia defense collapsed, and they weren't able to get back out to Mays and close out properly. A lot of size on the court for Georgia. 3 players, 6'8" or taller on the court right now.
Including this man with the ball, Claxton. This one too, Rashawn Hammonds. Now into Maton. At the left hand and one.
Georgia size coming into play, as they have been stellar offensively these last few minutes of the game, getting their big guys involved, getting Maton a touch, as he has had so many times in this game so far. Yante Maton getting opportunities to handle the basketball down low, and it's causing all sorts of trouble for LSU defensively.
And now he's tied for 3rd all time in Georgia scoring. He just needs a few more points, in fact 12 more, to tie Alec Kessler for 2nd place in Georgia scoring history. What a career for this man.
Number 3 for Georgia, the great Vern Fleming, 84 Olympian, outstanding player for Georgia, led them to the Final Four in '83.
They go right to Reith with Maton on the bench, but his hook shot's too strong, and the Dogs suddenly on a nice little run here. Turtle Jackson's threes have been off the mark, though.
The second time from about that same location to whiff on his shots.
In the last 3.5 minutes, Georgia's been on a 12-2 run.
With Deontay Maton off the court right now for Georgia, LSU needs to take advantage of it.
Waters kicks to Mays. 3 too strong, and Obeyde grabs another rebound. This is Jackson from the left wing. It's no good. Claxton fights inside. And it goes out of bounds as Wade Sims tried to save it. Threw it to Will Wade, and Wade says, come on, that was off Claxton, but does not get the call.
How about Turtle Jackson? He uncorks 2 air balls from three-point range and still isn't bashful, comes down and fires up another one. Nice rebounding by Claxton to save the possession.
Immediately they forfeit it, though, and that's an over and back. Darrell Edwards didn't notice where he was, straddling that half-court line. So it gives Georgia the basketball back right in that same spot where they tried to inbounds it a moment ago with Rayshawn Emmons. Dogs with an early 6-point lead at 15-12 on the season. Lost at South Carolina on Wednesday night after 2 great wins at Florida and beating Tennessee. Crump for 3, in and out.
And that win at Florida for Georgia, they had lost 6 of their previous 7 games, and going into that one at Georgia, it looked like, or at Florida, it looked like the Dogs were dead in that one. Deontay Maton saved them with a couple of threes.
And Sampson rejected inside. Claxton will try a 3. Off the mark, but grabs his own rebound. Now this is Crump from 20+. Georgia's had a lot of open looks from beyond the arc. They've only hit 1 3. The other way, Waters a little sloppy trying to feed the alley-oop to Brandon Sampson, rather, and Georgia defenders will have none of it.
Nice hustle by Rashawn Hammonds, getting back to knock that alley-oop pass away as Waters thought Sampson was ahead of the pack, going for the home run play. And LSU does retain possession. Man, it has been a struggle offensively for these Tigers these last few minutes of the game.
Sure has. One of their last 8 from the field. 1 field goal in the last 5.5 minutes. This is Waters. That's his first field goal of the game, and it's a 3.
Georgia got crossed up defensively on that inline out of bounds situation, trying to get matched up. Tremont Waters is in the gym, so he is in range. Got to stay on him.
Crump straight on, and again, these open looks won't go, but Maton is right there for another Georgia offensive rebound. That's what Will Wade told you before the game, Barry, that he was worried they'd get crushed on the boards by these big Georgia players.
Well, he knew it. Not so much worried about it. He knew it was coming. These Dogs getting after it on the boards.
Georgia with an early 5-point lead over LSU at home. Now look at Joe Lunardi. He's got 8 teams from the Southeastern Conference in, Mississippi State in the next 4 out, and Georgia and LSU, again, maybe they could get in the mix if they won out in the regular season.
These Aggies are the team that I'm concerned about. Texas A&M really having a tough time coming down the stretch of this season. We'll see if they can hang on and make it to the NCAA tournament.
Incredible season for the Auburn Tigers. How about that win against Alabama the other night? They had 7 scholarship players dressing out. Mustafa Heron was sick with an illness and still took it to the Crimson Tide.
They have gone through all sorts of adversity with Danjo Purifoy, Austin Wiley. Have not been eligible to play this season. Chuck Person getting fired from the Auburn staff. They had 2 coaches, actually, one other than Chuck, leave the staff this season. Their checking out the rim.
Looks like there's something up there that's bothering. Oh, look at that.
Oh.
A little part of the rim came unscrewed there. Maybe that's why Skylar Mays missed that first free throw. He's an 85% free throw shooter. Rarely see him miss one. It just went off the rim for that first free throw. LSU just 2 of their last 9 from the field. And trailing the Dogs here by 4. This is Yonte Maton again, now alone in third in Georgia scoring history. Parker turns around. It's too strong, but he gets the rebound, goes to Crump. And he's not afraid to let it fly. Another missed 3 for Georgia, but they continue to get these rebounds. And now Parker will go to the free throw line.
Bulldogs dominating the offensive boards. Now 7-1 advantage with offensive rebounding. The Dogs just continuing to get extra opportunities.
And it's the second foul on Duop Reith. Just almost 8.5 minutes into the game.
Reith really certainly the best interior player, the most imposing interior player for LSU. So significant that he's picked up that second foul.
Juwan Parker's story so well documented throughout the entire season. The only Division I player with his master's and a sports management degree, working on his second in family financial planning. Be asking this young man for some advice as soon as this game is over. He's got it together.
Fifth-year senior Juwan Parker has had an exceptional career in Georgia, both on and off the court.
He's one of the best free throw shooters too in school history. He knocked down both. All the way in goes Skylar Mays.
Well, with Tremont Waters off the court, Skylar Mays takes the primary ball handling duties on. Handled it nicely, getting to the rack for LSU.
5 for the sophomore.
Man-to-man hadn't worked very well for LSU, so they're trying zone right now.
And it works out for Georgia as Obede finds a hole in that zone.
The ball is just getting down close to the basket to these Georgia big men, and they are having lots of success against the overmatched interior players for LSU.
Skylar Mays, a terrific student in his own right, just made the Cosida All-District team. Will Wade made a point to mention that the other day in his press conference as he feeds Sims inside. And at the end of the shot clock, it should give the ball back to Georgia.
Georgia, an excellent defensive ball club, did a nice job contesting every opportunity that LSU had with the ball down in the lane there for quite a few seconds on that possession. But with Georgia's size, it's difficult to find a clear path to shoot it.
How about this? Mays picks the pocket and then gets fouled at the end of the play by Parker.
The one thing defensively that LSU does well is steal the basketball. Skylar Mays able to reach in, poke it away from Juwan Parker. Parker with that big swipe at the basketball, getting called for.
Mays needs 1 assist to get to 200 on his career. So he's been terrific on the floor. He had 14 points, 4 steals the other day in the win against Vanderbilt, but can't say enough great things about Skylar off the court. 4.0 pre-med major. And again, one of the best students in the Southeastern Conference. Four-point lead for Georgia. Mays scored the last of 5 points for LSU.
Georgia with 21 points as we hit the halfway mark through the first half. Dogs on pace.
Back door open, and you see Obede there with the follow.
A nice ball movement once again by Georgia. LSU defensively, they're leaving so many gaps down around the basket. These Georgia big guys are taking advantage of it.
Georgia on another nice little mini run, 8-2. Waters spins, kicks it out to Sampson for 3. Too strong, and Maton again clears it.
Another incredible setup by Tremont Waters to get his teammates open.
Eric Obede playing with no fear. Goes to the free throw line, and then the last time down the court, finished with a dunk.
The lob by Crump. Hammonds can't get the shot down, but Obede right there to clean it up as Georgia continuing to benefit from their work on the offensive boards.
Obede's been in and out of the starting lineup all season, and Mark Fox says it doesn't bother him whatsoever, whether he comes off the bench or not. Averaging just over 7 points. He had 16 off the bench last week against Tennessee. Obede only shooting 48% though this season from the free throw line. Makes 1 of 2.
LSU got the scoring pace of this game to their liking, but unfortunately for them, it's Georgia that's doing more of the scoring. We'll see if Waters can get his Tigers going.
Called for an up and down. Turning it over back to Georgia with LSU trailing by 7. LSU's lost 5 straight on the road, Barry. They have not won here since 2009. They did win their first 3 road games of the season, but those last 5 have been a big issue for LSU. Who's been terrific at home.
Well, part of it is the competition. LSU has played the stronger teams in the league on the road. It's sort of a quirk of the schedule. The lower teams in the standings, LSU has played and beaten at home.
Obede tried twice, but just couldn't get it to go, and LSU with another rebound. Kick in the corner to Sampson for 3.
Finally, the Tigers getting an open shot. Brandon Sampson able to bang home that 3-pointer.
Junior from Baton Rouge, who went to Madison Prep. They got a lot of local kids on this team. Myrtle Jackson, the only local from Athens. First player, in fact, that's signed from Athens in 25 years. Here he is now going baseline, losing the handle, and they'll call ball out of bounds. Today at 4:15 Eastern, it's a Sonic blockbuster with number 8 Kansas and number 6 Texas Tech. Then at 6:15, number 5 Duke hosts Syracuse. Both games will be on ESPN and the ESPN app. A little confusion here about, I think, how much time might be left on the shot clock.
Shot clock showing 3 right now. So Coach Mark Fox getting the opportunity to chat with a couple of his big guys. Got to attack in a hurry.
Mayday off the court has scored the last 5 points. We'll see if they look for Maton. They do for 3. Too strong, and a whistle inside. They'll get Waters for pushing.
Georgia continuing to get after it on the offensive boards, getting these extra scoring opportunities.
And they call another reach in. This time it goes on Sampson. Sampson hit a 3 the last time down the court for LSU. We've got a good one in Athens today between the Dogs and the Tigers. 2 teams that want to get. Georgia leads LSU 24-20 with 7:58 to go in the first half. With Barry Booker, I'm Taylor Zarzer. Barry, we knew rebounds would be a big factor and that Georgia would have an advantage coming in, and that's exactly what we've seen.
Georgia with 20 rebounds total to LSU's 10, a 10-2 advantage in offensive rebounding. Yante Maton and the Georgia big guys doing a lot of good work down around the basket. Maton with 9 points, but LSU hanging in there off some good 3-point shooting, 4 out of 8. Georgia taking too many 3-point shots. They're getting anything they want down around the basket to be a little more patient.
Juwan Parker, one of the best free throw shooters in school history at over 86% back at the line for 1-and-1, and he'll get a second. And just to take that a step further, Barry, Georgia has missed 18 shots, or there's been 18 chances off of a Georgia miss so far, and LSU, or Georgia rather, has more rebounds than LSU does in that situation. So with LSU just having 8 defensive rebounds and Georgia having 10 offensive. That shows you why Georgia has had so many second chance points.
But LSU hanging around, still only down by 5. Yante Maton, a senior with a lane violation, was one of the best foul shooters in school history at the foul line. Maton, the lane violation, taking a point off the board.
Man, look at the athleticism. Somehow it doesn't go in for Waters there. Had a tough shooting first half so far for the freshman. Just 1 of 6 from the floor.
And a slick move to the basket, that layup. You wonder if the rim there being messed up at that end of the court may have been a factor on that one.
They feed it to him perfectly. A good defense there by Randy Onwuser at the last moment to get a hand on it.
Dogs continuing to get that ball down around the basket to Yante Maton.
3 on the clock. Claxton way too strong. Didn't hit the rim, and that's a shot clock violation. Already Georgia just 1 of 12 beyond the arc.
Good defense that time by LSU, hanging in there, forcing the shot clock down. They didn't have to rebound that one. Good thing about that possession for LSU.
Waters again for 3. Bang.
Waters getting the big man, Yante Maton, in that switch, and decides just to rise up over him, knock down the 3, as LSU continuing their hot shooting beyond the arc.
Nice pass, cutting to Hammonds to the basket and 1.
Georgia continuing their hot shooting in the paint. Dogs dominating around the basket. Rashawn Hammonds with the hard cut to the basket, able to lay it in. The lefty finishing that play. Georgia extending their lead back up to 4.
Freshman for Norcross, Georgia. He was the first freshman to start a season opener back in November. The first time in 6 years for Mark Fox. Completes the 3-point play the old-fashioned way, and the Dogs lead is 5 again. And this kid Waters is just so fun to watch, Barry. No matter what happened on the previous possession, he's going to play with such energy and confidence every time down the court.
Got to chat with Tremont a little bit before the game. Such a polite young man. Quite a ball player.
Yeah, he knew all about your story and what a great 3-point shooter you were. Is Onwuser with a nice finish, gets him to the free throw line.
Well, LSU showing they can do some good work around the basket. Onwuser with the drive down the lane. LSU, they've shot it so well from 3-point range. The Georgia defense trying to stay out there, stick to the 3-point shooters. So Onwuser found the opening, able to get to the hole.
Physical move, I'm sure his brother Patrick would appreciate. He plays for the Baltimore Ravens. Can't get the free throw to go. It's been a nice graduate season for Onwuser, who transferred over from Southern Utah. It's a 3-point game again. Just over 6 minutes remaining in the first half. Georgia really struggling with the 3 ball so far in this one. They are now 1 of 13 beyond the arc.
Another possession. LSU fortunate that they don't have to get the rebound. That long shot leading to a long rebound that bounced up and over the backboard. And LSU with a chance to tie this game with a 3.
Waters has hit a couple of them. His only 2 field goals in the first half. Here's a third. Got it.
These big guys just aren't used to going out beyond that 3-point line. They think they have Waters defended. He backs up just a touch. He's got that range.
Claxton, nice move. Spin move inside, and it pays off with the left hand. Don't blink as Waters takes him down the court so quickly. Mays, Onwuser, and Waters all in the backcourt right now for LSU on the floor at the same time. You don't see that too often as Onwuser takes a step.
Well, it's a fun game here. 2 evenly matched clubs. Waters just backing up a little bit away from Derek Obede. He thinks, all right, I've got him. I've cut him off. Oh, no. He's drilled a 3 on me.
Freshman from New Haven, Connecticut. Was listening to former coach John Brady, who's now the radio analyst for LSU, talk about Barry Booker, the great three-point shooter from Vanderbilt. And Waters was studying you before the game and paying close attention to some of the instruction you were giving him during shoot-around today.
So I gave him a great tip that will get him in. I'll share that with all the young players out there.
Hightower gets fouled. Actually, we have a foul away from the ball there.
So all you ball players out there, as we get to this pick and roll situation, we see the wrestling match on the right side of the screen there. Sims wrestling with Yante Mayton. Mayton stepping to the foul line. All right, so my shooting tip for Tremont Waters. I noticed as he was taking shots, he was rattling some of them in. He's not making shots or bouncing off the rim. I told him, when you're shooting, try not to hit the rim. Try to just shoot it right into the basket. There's my tip.
And the next 5 shots that he attempted went right into the basket without hitting the rim. And he looked at you after every single one to say, was that good?
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah. So, you know, being a little facetious there, but just telling the young man, hey, focus, lock in.
Think
Stop
about nothing
rattling
but net.
them in. Yeah. Hit dead center.
He did. Each of those times, too, so he's a good listener. Unwisser gets his man in the air, but Mayton blocks his shot, and it's another shot clock violation that goes against LSU.
And the size of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. They are controlling things at both ends of the court with their height.
Mayton with 3 blocks already in this game. He's averaging just over 1.5 this season.
Having a nice game scoring as well, already in double figures.
Intercepted by Skylar Mays. Onwisser. Blocked by Claxton. Blocked by Mayton. And the finish for Hammonds.
Well, Tremont Waters read that the alley-oop was coming. He was able to get his hands on the basketball, but LSU not able to get possession.
And Waters goes right back to the trees and draws the foul on Claxton. It's been a block party for the Dogs so far. And Georgia had 9 total blocks in the last 2 games, and already with 8 in this one. You see Claxton, who got in on the action as well. He's got 2. Yet Tremont Waters continues to go at these guys. He doesn't care less about what happened on the last possession. He drew the foul off of Claxton there, right at the rim.
Tremont is fearless. This freshman leading the LSU Tigers with his scoring, his passing ability. He has the reins for this club. Down by 5 in a dogfight here in Athens.
10 points already for Waters, one of the best players in the SEC. Some think that most think right now Yante Mayton would be SEC Player of the Year, as he has the ball and has the finish there. But maybe Waters will provide a little bit of competition in these last few games.
Well, Auburn having such a great year with the 12-3 record. I would say the point guard for
Bryce
the Auburn
Brown,
Tigers would be the guy. I know I'm blanking on the kid's name.
Of course, here is the finish with Edwards with a jumper there. Of course, you're talking about Harper.
Yes, Jared Harper
at Auburn
would be my SEC Player of the Year, leading the way for the Auburn Tigers.
Parker from the elbow.
Boy, Georgia getting whatever they want offensively. Getting that ball into the paint, scoring a better clip than they have all season.
At the rim, won't go down. Out of bounds, back to Georgia. Yante Mayton with 13 points already in this one today, as Georgia has a 7-point lead.
Dwop Reith with the foul trouble. No shot blocking on the court for Georgia. Yante Maton having his way down around the basket for the Dogs.
Into the corner for three. Hightower misses that one, and Georgia continues to struggle. 1 for 14 from three today.
LSU finally gets a rebound, and they got a foul away from the basketball. Wade Sims getting tangled up with Yante Maton.
Can be confusing, though, since I know you remember his father, Wayne, who
yes.
played for LSU in your era back
indeed.
in the late 80s.
Yes, indeed. I'm having flashbacks of Big Wayne. We're calling this a player control foul. Is that we're not quite at the we're at the limit on foul shots, so they are calling it a player control foul because LSU had possession of the basketball.
Georgia's lead suddenly 7 with just 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Into the passing lane comes Edwards, stealing it away.
No numbers. Good decision by Edwards. Waters. Barbecue chicken.
Waters on Maton, and it's short, and Maton turns and says to the young man, don't try that again.
Oh, Waters has done it once to Yante Maton. Maton staying a little bit closer to him that time around. Not letting the little guy, even though he was 28 feet or so away from the basket, Maton knew that Waters wanted to lean into that jumper.
Hammonds. Georgia continues to shoot those threes without any luck, but getting to the basket with authority all throughout the entire first half, and it sends Hammonds back to the free throw line.
Georgia continuing to have great success at the offensive end of the court, making a little re-screen. Hammonds cutting to the basket wide open.
11 of 12 at the line, 12 of 20 shooting twos. So Georgia's been terrific inside the three-point line, but ice cold laying bricks outside of it.
Georgia's highest point total in a regulation game in SEC play is 71. They had overtime game against Arkansas, double overtime, where they had 77 but lost. They're on pace right now to get over 80 points in this ballgame.
Up 9 with just over a minute to go in the first half in Athens. Edwards wants to drive, kicks it out. Rochelle falls down. Mays now to Edwards for three. And the tip in goes in for Rochelle. What a job by Brandon Rochelle off the bench and drawing the foul.
A rare offensive rebound for the LSU Tigers as they had Georgia's defense scrambled. Claxton went to the deck. And by the time he gets back into the action, Rochelle there for the putback and the chance at the three-point play.
Sends Claxton to the bench with his second foul. Rochelle, the freshman from one of my favorite names in America, Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Just like it's spelled, right?
Not even close. And it's only a 6-point game.
Well, will Georgia continue to get the ball down around the basket where they have been so effective?
Nice half-court pressure by LSU on this possession. Frustrating the Dogs. Jackson left alone. Just a second made three for the Dogs in the first half. The first for Turtle.
Turtle had been 0 for 3 from three-point range. Finally able to knock one in.
Very quickly at the other end. Epps can't buy a bucket, and Georgia can hold for one shot. Up 9 with the last shot of the first half.
A stellar first half for Georgia. Their highest point total in a half in conference play, and they're trying to add to it.
Turtle with 3.
Yeah.
In and out the rim. Obede got it off.
They are counting it, but they're going to review it. I thought it was the 13 points. He's got 5 blocked shots, 5 boards, and he is just dominating the paint for the Georgia Bulldogs as they have a huge advantage with rebounding and points in the paint. And Yante with the blocked shots, he's held, along with his teammates, has held Tremont Waters to 0 for 7 from 2-point range, although Waters has the 10 points with the 3 threes.
You see those numbers in the first half with the rebounds that Peyton has had. What a rebounded advantage that Georgia had in the first half. 20 points in the paint already. They had just 18 total in their last game against South Carolina. They have dominated the interior of this basketball game.
Surprisingly for Georgia, though, only 9 points off of their 12 offensive rebounds. So got to do a better job converting off those second chance opportunities. But LSU has to defend around the basket much better in this second half if they're going to be effective.
Not only does Maiden have 13, he has his 5 blocks to go along with 5 rebounds. Could be the front runner to become the SEC Player of the Year. The dog has led the conference in scoring like Maiden does since Jarvis Hayes back in 2002. This time, Maiden feeds his big buddy Derek Obeyde for 2.
Obeyde able to get the basket over Dwap Reith, who had to sit for much of the first half. Only 8 minutes of play. Reith picked up those 2 fouls.
It's basically not been a factor, and Obeyde slaps away a pass intended for Reith. Dogs lead is up to 13, their largest of the game, as there's a foul inside.
Aaron Epps just too aggressive, trying to stick with Yante Maiten. Maiten moved along the baseline. 2 fouls on Epps. A little bit of foul trouble starting to develop for these LSU Tigers.
Georgia at 6-9 in conference play, beat Florida on the road in Gainesville, knocked off Tennessee here last Saturday, but did lose to South Carolina on Wednesday night in Columbia. As Parker draws the foul, will go to the free throw line.
A couple of quick fouls on LSU. Georgia, they have been incredible at the offensive end of the court so far in this ball game. 47 points already on the board, and now one of the best foul shooters in America stepping to the foul line for 2 more.
He's got 8 points today. Perfect from the free throw line. And of course, there's the announcer jinx. As you look at Georgia's upcoming schedule, after today, they've got A&M here on senior night. Last time Yante Maiten will play in Athens, and then at Tennessee next weekend. You win all 3 of those games, Barry, at 9-9 in one of the toughest leagues in America, and with at least 6 Q1 wins. I think that might be enough to get them in the NCAA tournament.
Well, it would be 7 or 8 Q1 wins.
You like the new terminology, huh?
Oh, it's beautiful. But Texas A&M coming over here to Athens on Wednesday, and the Vols hosting Georgia for the final game of the regular season. Georgia able to knock off Tennessee here in Athens by 11 just a week ago. So a good opportunity for Georgia to have a really strong finish. Got to finish their business today against LSU.
Again, a lot of losses already with 12 on the season, but kind of like Vandy last year, a lot of great wins. Reith took too many steps. You take a look at Mark Fox's resume in his 9th season here, the RPI rank. Again, Lenardi does not have them in the tournament. He did have them as one of the next 4 out before the loss to South Carolina on Wednesday. Tennessee, Alabama, beat St. Mary's. Some good wins this year for Coach Fox.
3 on 3 fouls on Dwap Reith now. Have an arm around Obeyde. Foul trouble mounting for LSU.
He's yet to hit a field goal, and he has been the team's leading scorer in conference play this season. Hightower tried to kick it out to Parker, who saved it. Now it's Maiten who turns around and scores again. Wow.
turnaround fadeaway, and Georgia has taken charge of this game.
Waters with no fear. Can't get it to fall as Maton goes crashing to the ground. Hightower for three. A 13-0 run for the Dogs going back to the first half, and Will Wade has seen enough.
Has discarded the coat, trying to find answers for these LSU Tigers as Georgia has come out smoking.
What a roll the Dogs are on right now, up 53-34 against the LSU Tigers. Will Wade has seen enough from his LSU Tigers. His jacket is off, the tie is off. He didn't say a word to his team during that timeout.
See if LSU can find their way.
Edwards misses on the three. Just a few seconds into the shot clock. LSU only 4 assists on 11 field goals. Ball movement been a big problem for them so far today. Parker for three again.
Well, when things start rolling, Georgia had a lot of trouble knocking down threes early, but they're rolling now.
Nice finish by Sims on a good look from Waters. A 20-5 run for the Dogs going back to the last few minutes of the first half. Deontay Maton, Obede, back to it.
LSU desperate, trying to fight their way back into the game. They went to the full court press. Georgia shredded it. Obede to Maton. Deontay continuing his scoring onslaught today.
And there's Waters answering at the other end. You got to give it to Tremont. He has been playing hard throughout this entire game, no matter what's been going on with Georgia on offense.
Tremont Waters is an absolute competitor. Tough little guy. LSU, they're going to have to make something happen in a hurry if they're going to work their way back into this game, down by 19.
Waters jump shot. Maton rather jump shot. What can't he do?
Well, he's moved into second place on the all-time Georgia scoring list now.
Just a second ago, Parker with another look from three.
Nice penetration move. Turtle Jackson with the pass. And Georgia breaking the press. Derek Obede with the pass and doesn't even need to look. He knows Deontay knows how to finish.
Let's see a graphic on the screen. Deontay Maton passing Alec Kessler, who was, as they say, a DGD, darn good dog around here, for second place on the all-time scoring list. It's not going to catch Latero Green unless he has the greatest 8 or 9 game performance in Georgia history. Green is the leading scorer ever to play here at UGA, but it looks like Deontay Maton is going to finish in second place. What a career.
Yeah, an amazing career, and caught up with Vern Fleming, passed him today, one of the all-time great dogs, and Alec Kessler as well. Deontay Maton looking for a nice finish to his Georgia career. He capped off by an NCAA tournament appearance is what he's hoping for.
See full court pressure that LSU is applying suddenly, and it paid off with another bucket. Skylar Mays got his 200th assist on that bucket by Rochelle. Hightower all the way in. He'll go to the free throw line. Dogs are up 17 with just over 15 minutes left. Maton's got 19.
Kansas, Texas Tech in a Sonic blockbuster. Today
we're adding up to over 100%. That's interesting math going on there, but I think Texas Tech playing at home today against Kansas. That one's going to be a great matchup, like the Red Raiders' chances playing at home.
Hightower's first free throw is too strong, as the Dogs trail are up 17 on the LSU Tigers today. Georgia with a tough loss to South Carolina on Wednesday night to fall to 15-12 overall, but most people believe they win these last 3 and they've got a better than legitimate chance to make the NCAA tournament. Might have to do a little bit of work in St. Louis, where the SEC tournament will be staged this year. Mays gets trapped inside with the trees, and it's no good. Rebounded by Maton.
Well, if Georgia is able to win these last 3 games, it will be remarkable how far they can move in the SEC standings right now with everybody so bunched up. Georgia, of course, toward the bottom right now, but 3 wins in a row, they can rise up as high as 5th or so in the SEC.
Between 3rd and 12th in the SEC, there are 2 games separating those 10 teams. It's just remarkable.
Man, if Georgia is able to fight their way to the tournament, they'll look back to that game at Florida where they had the big comeback late in the game. Yante Maton hit a couple of 3-point shots to get the Dogs into overtime. And Georgia able to finish that game in overtime and possibly save their season.
It was the first miss of the second half for the Bulldogs. And red hot from the floor today, especially inside the arc.
You know you're having a problem when the announcer says 5 minutes into the second half. First miss of the half.
Turtle Jackson gets him right back on track.
Mercy, 63 for Georgia.
The lead is 20 for UGA right now.
Right now for LSU, just want to see them compete, fight their way.
Maton finally cools off a little bit. 19 points in the game. It's his first 3-point attempt. As you mentioned, maybe Harper at Auburn, Waters at LSU. There are a couple other good candidates in the league for SEC Player of the Year as Edwards lays it in. But Maton is absolutely in that conversation, leading everyone in scoring.
And it'll be a matter of how well Georgia can finish.
Tonight on ABC, it's our NBA Saturday primetime game. The Thunder and Warriors squaring off for the 3rd time this season. Our coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern, and you can always watch on the ESPN app. I didn't like seeing Russ and KD being nice to each other at the All-Star game.
Who wants to see that?
Let's get back to them yelling and screaming and jawing tonight out there in Frisco.
Yeah, having those 2 guys on the same team, that's no good. We've tried that before.
4 fouls now on Aaron Epps.
Tell you what, man, KD has not seemed comfortable in those matchups with Russell Westbrook. It seems like he's gotten into the jawing and been distracted by all that. That'll be fun to watch.
Well, he's wearing the black hat now, you know. I mean, he's the bad guy, and Russell Westbrook suddenly the favorite son of everyone and not named a Golden State fan.
Everybody says, or a lot of people will say, hey, man, I want to go into that opposing arena. I want to shut up the crowd. I don't mind wearing the black hat. Nobody wants to wear the black hat, Taylor. I'm telling you, man.
You know, you're right. LeBron James said that about his whole entire Miami Heat experience and how at times it wasn't fulfilling.
Oh, it is difficult. That black hat gets heavy.
Rochelle gets trapped inside. Nice fadeaway. LSU down 18 here today. No matter what improvement they've made with Will Wade this season, but this has been one of the toughest games of the year for Wade. They only won 2 conference games in 2017. Already was 7 this year, and he has admitted he's a tough critic of his own team, but he did admit to us earlier today he's surprised by how competitive they've been in such a good league. And this guy right here is the biggest reason why.
Wow, what a drive to the basket and getting the kind bounce on the rim here. And I'm wondering, are these LSU Tigers going to fight? Are they going to roll over with Georgia? Moments ago, they had a 20-point lead. LSU showing some fight. Trim the lead down to 15 after Tremont Waters makes this free throw.
Turtle Jackson committing his 3rd foul. And again, he's cursed by the announcer. He has 17 today.
Maybe I am powerful. My words.
16-point lead for the Bulldogs. Crump loses the handle off his knee, out of bounds.
All right. Dogs getting a little bit sloppy here, and Mark Fox trying to get his team to focus.
Dogs up 16. Beat Tennessee, but 12 losses, including the one to South Carolina on Saturday night, has made Mark Fox lose some of that hair that he has left.
Dogs started off with a couple of wins in SEC play, but lost 8 of 10 at one point in conference play, but trying to finish strong here.
Sampson from very deep, no good. LSU's one saving grace has been that 7 for 16 mark from 3 today. Sampson goes up for the rebound there and gets bumped by Jackson, and that's 4 on Turtle.
Man, that last time out from Mark Fox, he lit into his club. Just couldn't believe how poorly the Dogs had played for a few minutes here, losing their concentration, trying to get his team to focus, lock in, and finish off this ball game.
Sampson in the corner, too strong.
Don't want to have to win games more than once. Georgia with a 20-point plus lead at one point. Don't want to let LSU back into it.
And Turtle Jackson is fouled out of the game. Georgia up 16 on LSU.
Hey, listen up. We're here because we deserve to be here.
Thank you, Chris. It was hard to imagine that Miller would coach in that game, given the news we learned late last night. Jay Billis on College Game Day today said he expected Miller not to coach tonight and Ayton not to play. So we're still waiting on that Ayton part of the news. But all of us were shocked, Mark Fox included, at that news we learned about Sean Miller last night.
Yes, indeed. Certainly more to come on that story as this season plays out, and probably much more during this offseason.
Will Wade, the current coach at LSU. Last year's coach, Johnny Jones, had a couple of players that were mentioned in that FBI probe from Yahoo Sports yesterday. Johnny did not have a comment about it. All right, now the foul was on Claxton. They corrected it, not on Turtle Jackson. So Jackson, who is out of the lineup right now, can come back and play. He's got 4. Claxton charged with his 3rd foul as Georgia gets possession of the basketball back.
Turnover for LSU. They're trying to fight their way back into the game.
Onwuser put his arms around Yante Maton.
Yeah, what's wrong with a hug? Come on. Who doesn't enjoy a nice hug?
Evidently you can't do that, Barry, in college basketball. As a graduate from Inglewood, California, commits his first.
Big day for Yante Maton, personally rising up the ranks of the Georgia all-time scoring charts, passing the great Vern Fleming, early 80s guard, 84 Olympian, passing the late and great Alec Kessler in the 2nd place on the all-time Georgia scoring list. Yante missed the front end of the 1-and-1.
Sampson goes flying to the basket.
Tigers chipping away. A lot of time left.
Lost 5 straight on the road, have not won here in Athens since 2009. Do lead the overall series 64-46, but recently it's been the Dogs who've had the upper hand. Crump for 3. Onwuser with the rebound.
Not the shot that the Georgia Bulldogs wanted to see on that trip.
Here's Waters. Reith can't get it on the putback. Still hasn't collected a field goal today. Lob inside for Hammonds, gets trapped and draws the foul, and somehow that went
Well, the Bulldogs have been struggling their last several trips down the court. Finally, Rashawn Hammonds able to come up with a basketball going against Brandon Sampson. Mismatch size-wise. Hammonds able to go through Sampson and get the two.
Freshman from Norcross, Georgia. Started a bunch this season, coming off the bench today. And he's got 10 points. Lead up to 17 again, and what a house of horrors it's been for Duop Reith. 1 point, 0 of 3 shooting for the big man, who's been their leading scorer in conference play.
And that another critical possession for LSU going off Duop Reith's fingertips. Georgia back in charge.
Mayton can't get them to go, but will go to the free throw line. Another double-double for this all-SEC forward, Yante Mayton. 19 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks. I think he's showing off for some NBA scouts as well, Barry. I know seniors don't get drafted as much in this day and age, but with this guy's mid-range game that he has shown, especially this season, you would think he will get more than a look at the next level.
Yeah, he is a decent shooter, able to step away from the basket, has shown some three-point range at times this season, shooting 33% from three-point range. I really like his ball handling ability. He has made some nice moves this season off the dribble, getting to the basket. Yante Mayton definitely got a future in basketball.
20 for Mayton today. The lead is 18. Mays for 3. Suddenly LSU's gone cold from 3, missing their last 5.
Bad time to go cold, trying to fight their way back. Mark Fox is shaking his head on the sidelines for Georgia. His team has had several opportunities to wrap this game up, put it away. Still allowing LSU a little bit of life.
Over in the corner to Waters. Waters has had a nice game with 17 points, but no other Tiger is in double figures. Anwasser inside, too strong. And a jump ball possession arrow favoring LSU.
Georgia size continuing to give LSU all kinds of trouble. Anwasser had to go underneath the long arms, underneath the branches on the trees of these Georgia big men.
Waters for 3. He's got 20. Beat the press, and Mayton with the finish.
Seen Tremont Waters several times kind of take himself out of the play, going for the steal. With the offensive player for Georgia coming to the basket, he leaves his teammates exposed. See, it's kind of a 2-on-2 situation. Waters needs to get back, take away the pass to Mayton, let Epps go over and stop the basketball. Instead, it's an easy finish for Yante Mayton.
And it's an easy block for Mayton, his 6th of the game. Hammonds at the other end, too strong, gets the rebound and the putback.
Georgia taking control of this game once again.
Mayton's tied a career high with 6 blocks in this game. Waters from way downtown. Long rebound to Anwasser. Sampson inside, and a timeout by Will Wade with 8:11 to go. SEC Network doing games each and every Saturday during the college football season with my friend Dave Neal. He's an SEC legend. Matt Stinchcomb, 2-time first team All-American for the Dogs, enjoying his alma mater's performance today, up 17. We have another SEC legend, just named one this week. John Brady will be recognized in St. Louis as an SEC legend. Took the Tigers to the Final Four as the head coach in 2006, was the head coach for 11 years, and now as a radio analyst. And Barry, you noticed how much more the man is smiling these days.
Yeah, he could be a little grouchy as head coach at LSU. Always really good to work with, great to me all the time. But yeah, he is definitely smiling a lot more and having a lot more fun than he appeared to when he was head coach of the Tigers back in the late double O's.
Crump shot that is short. Sampson, great effort with the rebound. Mays does not have numbers, but draws the foul. Brady came up to us before the game and said, "Where's the media food?" I've always wondered that. You know, he said, "I've never enjoyed the media experience. I want to see what you guys get to have for lunch before the game starts." And he loved the conversation that you were having with Waters about shooting before the game.
Coach Brady is, and he is enjoying getting around the SEC and not having to worry so much. Of course, he wants his former team to win games, but it doesn't bother him nearly as much as when he was head coach, win or lose.
Nice tip in. Hammonds with 14 points off the bench for the Dogs. Their lead is now 19.
These Dogs are playing much better basketball. Had a big win over Tennessee last weekend down here in Athens. Got the Aggies to look forward to midweek coming up. Georgia playing their way in.
Coming up in 2 days, it's our final big Monday before championship week. And we'll have number 5 Duke taking on Virginia Tech at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then at 9, it's number 8 Kansas hosting Texas. Both games are on ESPN, and they're streaming on the ESPN app. I cannot believe it's the final big Monday of the season. Mays commits his 3rd foul. Crump misses the first free throw there.
Taylor, as you get older, and the weeks and years just rush by, my friend.
That's my fear. I had the big 4-0 birthday here a couple of months ago, and I'm starting to think about those things.
Stop bragging.
Waters draws the foul inside.
I hit the Randy Johnson earlier this month.
It's another big one. Now that really is hard to believe. I feel like you were shooting threes in Memorial Magic just yesterday.
I feel like it too. But got Will Wade over there on the sidelines. He was born when I was in high school. So it's you know, I was sort of surprised. Oh wow, players who were born after my playing days were over at Vanderbilt, and now I'm getting to the point where wow, coaches who were born after I started playing at Vanderbilt. It's frightening, man.
Will's 35, one of the youngest coaches in college basketball. Former Clemson player. Was at UT Chattanooga for a couple of years. Did an outstanding job taking VCU to the dance each of the last 2 seasons. Won a game in the tournament there. Can understand why Joe Oliva and LSU went and got him. And the future is so bright in Baton Rouge, especially if Waters comes back next season, which everyone expects.
He is such a small player, so built so slightly. I would expect that he would come back, try to gain some strength. Although I think of Tyler Ulis, the excellent point guard from Kentucky. Small player who is having success in the NBA. So, you know, think of some of the smaller guys that are playing well in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas comes to mind.
Well, it's interesting you compared him to Ulis because the last freshman to lead the SEC in steals and be second in assists was Tyler Ulis.
Hey.
So there are some real comparisons to that former Kentucky guard.
Waters, a better shooter, deeper range than Tyler Ulis. So really bright future for Tremont Waters and a bright future for this LSU program with Will Wade leading the way.
Mays 3 rims out. LSU shooting only 37% today as that one goes off Hightower's knee. The SEC tournament in St. Louis is truly up for grabs in a couple of weeks. Beginning Wednesday night, you think how difficult it would be to win 5 games in 5 days, but there is very little separation from the teams playing Wednesday to the ones that will be debuting on Friday.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Those, it looks like Auburn and Tennessee, they're definitely going to have 2 of those top 4 slots at the SEC tournament. They'll get byes till the quarterfinal round on Friday. Who lands in those other 2 slots for the SEC tournament is going to be huge, because I think it will be one of those 4 teams that will win the SEC tournament, one of those 4 teams that get the double byes. And right now there are 6 teams tied for the 3rd place slot.
Jackson has to go out of bounds back to LSU. Is it possible for Kentucky to sneak up on someone? Because I feel like in the last week or 2, here they come. Beat Alabama last weekend, looked really good in Fayetteville earlier this week.
It's possible for the Cats to win their last 3 games to get on a roll. I think of that 2015 team for Kentucky with the twins, Andrew and Aaron Harrison, that finished so strong. They kind of limped into March, but then really played well, ended up in the championship game for the national tournament as well as the SEC tournament. So, and it will be an exciting finish as we look at the standings.
Well, Juwan Parker commits his 3rd foul, and Rochelle back to the free throw line. It's a 2-shot foul. The game is a 15-point lead for the Dogs, who have been in control of this one from the tip.
Talk about the SEC tournament, of course, on Wednesday night, the bottom 4 teams in the SEC will play. And there are no bad teams in this league. Was that a lane violation?
No, it was a 1-and-1 situation, and Mayton got the rebound. Nobody moved. The officials were confused and now realize that they should have given the ball to Georgia.
Okay. Call the jump ball. Alternate possessions. Georgia gets it.
Yep. My bad on the guys in stripes today. Claxton from beyond the free throw line.
These Georgia Bulldogs got some young players like Nicholas Claxton playing big roles, and starting to develop as we get down to the end of the season.
Waters again, no fear, shooting from 25 feet, no good. Hammonds makes him pay on the other end. What a game Rayshawn Hammonds has had off the bench today, now with 16 points.
Lefties have an advantage. The guy gets upon you and you realize, oh my gosh, he is a lefty. I got to cut him off there. The contact with the official, Sean Casey, along the baseline. Hammonds trying to hold the ref up.
4th foul on Brandon Rochelle sends him to the bench, and again the Dogs are up 20. Today at 4:15 Eastern, it's a Sonic blockbuster with number 8 Kansas and number 6 Texas Tech. Then at 6:15, number 5 Duke hosts Syracuse. Both games will be on ESPN and the ESPN app. And suddenly Duke's been playing really good basketball without Marvin Bagley on the court. Grayson Allen's been terrific the last few games.
The power of ball movement, getting everybody involved, and when Bagley gets back, that will be a theme for that team. Let's keep playing the way we've been playing, keep moving the basketball, and you get talent like Bagley back on the court. That's huge for the Blue Devils.
Hammonds fouled again. Well, another player that we're wondering about in the SEC, whether he'll be back, is Michael Porter Jr. Cleared to practice the other day. Could see him play middle of next week or next weekend against the Arkansas Razorbacks. I know our friend Jimmy Dykes thinks it's still a long shot. You wonder about chemistry, but cleared to play by those doctors. Porter would love to be out there.
With a talent like that, among the most highly regarded recruits in the nation in the 2017 high school class. But man, it's just scary. You just kind of hold your breath for Michael Porter Jr. want to see him play, but more importantly, you want to see him healthy.
Yes, those first couple of minutes of the season, so disappointing to see that injury, as Hammonds now has a career high 18 points today. Georgia up 19.
Really good season for the Missouri Tigers after a couple of years of real struggle up in Como. Missouri Tigers having a nice year right now, projected in the NCAA tournament.
Edwards hits the jumper. Alfonso Martin doing a really good job without Porter Jr. almost the entire season. Now the ACC with 9 or 10 teams going to the NCAA tournament. The SEC at the moment with 8, could get to 9. Who knows, maybe even 10 if Georgia wins these final 3 games. ACC and the SEC both having outstanding years. And so is Deontay Maton, leading the entire conference in scoring. He's got 24 today. Mays at the other end for 3.
No size on the court right now for LSU. They got smaller, quicker players out there trying to force turnovers, trying to fight their way back.
Which is exactly what they do, and Mays draws the foul on Hammonds. LSU trying to claw their way back into this one, down 16 in Athens.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by
College basketball probe, including the #1 pick in the draft last year, Markelle Fultz from Washington, allegedly receiving cash, entertainment, and travel expenses from agents. And it includes Sean Miller of Arizona. He will not coach tonight against the Oregon Ducks. Here we are, just a couple weeks away from the NCAA tournament, and we have fans across the country wondering about eligibility of players and coaches.
Man, it's kind of scary seeing my alma mater, Vanderbilt, among those teams listed. Wade Baldwin, former first-round draft pick of the Memphis Grizzlies, and Vanderbilt All-SEC player mentioned in that. No current LSU Tigers, and of course Coach Wade not mentioned, and Georgia not mentioned as part of this scandal, but a lot of programs around the country caught up in it.
Colin Sexton in Alabama is one of those guys, but Avery Johnson did say yesterday he expects Sexton to play tonight when the Crimson Tide takes on the Arkansas Razorbacks. You see some notable schools that are involved in that. You see some SEC schools like Kentucky, unfortunately, like you said, Vanderbilt, Alabama, LSU with some former players was named in the report yesterday.
6 SEC schools mentioned. South Carolina, Auburn, of course.
Georgia beats the press, at least for a moment, before Waters steals it away from Hammonds. Mays to cut it to 11. Off balance 3, no good.
I was hoping LSU would give us something a lot more fun to talk about. Competitive ball game coming down the stretch here. Big block by Wade Sims.
Down 14, and Waters spins a couple of times and draws a foul.
Tigers running out of time here. Georgia Bulldogs got to keep in mind that right now their biggest opponent is the 2 minutes and 56 seconds on the clock. It's not so much the LSU Tigers. Georgia trying to attack last time. They took that quick shot, give the ball back to LSU in a hurry. Waters struggling from the line today for him.
Coming up in just a few minutes, the top-ranked team in the country, the Virginia Cavaliers, go on the road to play the winless Pitt Panthers. That's winless in conference play this year in the ACC. The only team in a power league that hasn't won a conference game for former Vanderbilt coach Kevin Stallings.
Yes, indeed. Thinking about him, his time at Vanderbilt and then the SEC. Certainly hating to see the Panthers struggle to that degree.
So it sends Parker back to the free throw line. He's 3rd in school history in free throw percentage, shooting 86% this season. And he's now 7 of 8 from the line today. I have to give these fans credit. Another capacity crowd today in Stegman Coliseum. The home crowd always tries to get quiet for when their team's shooting. I don't think I've ever heard it this quiet.
Oh, man, it's a great environment here in Stegman Coliseum now. $20 million in renovations that they've done to the facility
It's
here.
really remarkable, Barry. I mean, the transformation this facility has gone through in the last few years.
It is absolutely beautiful. They've got a nice product to watch this season. These Georgia Dogs playing some good basketball, especially lately.
Edwards rebounds his own miss. It's a nice move to the bucket, lays it in.
Tell you what, man, we're seeing great crowds and fun environments all over the SEC this year.
And we're seeing Rayshawn Hammond's best performance as a Georgia Bulldog.
Look at the handle for Tremont Waters. He's not a big guy, so he gets down low and just patting that rock on the floor as he moves through traffic. Quickness. I mean, he is very difficult to stay in front of that young man.
Tonight on SportsCenter after Arizona, Oregon with Bucci and Zubin, they'll have all the big moments and postgame coverage of the Dubs and the Thunder. Plus, there's history on the line in Lubbock with Kansas looking to clinch at least a share of the Big 12 regular season title, which would be their 14th straight.
Playing against a team that they beat here in Athens just a week ago. So good matchups for Georgia. Opportunity for Mark Fox and the Dogs.
So Waters makes both free throws. And the lead is now down to 12. Waters with 15 of his 25 points in the second half. Maton the other way draws another foul.
LSU scrambling, trying to speed things up here. Hoping for some misses for Georgia at the line. Dogs hitting at a 67% clip so far in this ball game, but 87 points on the board for the Georgia Bulldogs. Matching their season high total against Winthrop earlier this year at 87. So when Maton makes this one, season high for the Dogs in points.
Finally listened to you, Barry. Made a free throw. He's got 25, matching Waters for the most in the game. Waters got it to Sims, who wasn't ready for it. It's the first time this year that Georgia has allowed more than 70 points and could walk away with a win.
Good to see LSU fight their way back. They were down by 22 here in the second half. They kept battling, and they continue to scrap and fight. Will Wade still coaching on the sidelines, and a little sideline warning from Mike Nance. Hey, settle down. The Tigers still competing here, and that's impressive. They certainly could have just rolled over when they got down by 20 plus.
Yeah, the effort has never been lacking today for Will Wade's team. As Mays commits his fourth foul, and it'll send Hightower to the free throw line. He's admitted that it's been really frustrating going through the ups and downs with a young team in such an incredibly difficult conference. This is no knock to the Atlantic 10, but the A-10, which he was coaching in most recently at VCU, has probably 2, maybe 3 tournament teams in that league. Rhode Island's having a great year. This one has at least 8.
Well, and when you're in a situation at VCU where you've got, one of the more talented rosters in the league, you're obviously going to be one of the better teams in the league. You go to a place that was 2-16 in conference play last year, it's going to be tough. But LSU able to make this a decent season, already at 7 wins in conference play, exceeding their total last year dramatically.
How about the hustle from Mays here to finish this off and get to the free throw line?
Juwan Parker, just a careless pass. Take your time. Skylar Mays just kind of hanging around, and ball basically came right to him. A good hustle by Mays and good hustle by the Tigers to hang in there, and they'll walk away from this game. Certainly they're not going to be able to win it, but they'll feel a lot better about themselves than they might have, the way Georgia played so well today.
Virginia and Pitt have started on ESPN News. So the top-ranked team in the country starting on ESPN News. They'll be right here as soon as this one is over. Georgia trying to finish this off, up 11, which is over a minute to go, and a foul called. And that is on Mays. It's fourth. They actually say that is the 5 on Skylar Mays. So he's fouled out of the game today. Mays with 20 points, and he was the epitome of what you were talking about from an effort standpoint today.
He kept scrapping, kept fighting. He personally had a good ball game for LSU. But when the team got down, Skylar Mays really hustling, giving that effort, not giving up. LSU, good job competing today.
Hammonds with a career high 20, back to the line for 2 shots. Number 1 team in the country just getting going on ESPN News. They'll be over here on ESPNU when this one's over. Kansas and Texas Tech tonight. Be a fun one to watch. You got a good one with Villanova right now, just up 4 on Creighton. Later tonight, Duke and Syracuse in action after that Texas Tech Kansas game.
Thunder at the Warriors tonight.
A lot of good basketball at both levels.
Calendar is about to flip to March. The weather's getting warmer. We get to get some golf in, Taylor.
Wade Sims gets a dunk in to make it a 10-point game as LSU continues to apply pressure and foul Hightower.
I was about to tell them to stop fouling. I should have spoken up.
Sampson committing his 4th. Will Wade has been doing a lot of teaching this year, he said, especially with Tremont Waters, and the reaction that he's gotten from Waters is what I've been so impressed with. These guys want to learn, and you don't see that very often nowadays.
No. Very teachable. Tremont Waters mentioned what an impressive young man he is. He even took my tip with good cheer.
Yes, he did. Not only did he listen, he made him.
The old man giving him a shooting tip, and didn't say, "What do you know, old man?" He was polite about it. I like it.
Here he is for 3 again. This one off the mark. And rebounded inside, and another foul.
Well, Georgia absolutely needed this one. Could not take a home loss here. Another home game coming up against Texas A&M. I like their chances in that one. And on the road against Tennessee to close out the season. These dogs are coming.
Game at Tennessee will be fascinating, especially if Tennessee's already clinched a spot in one of those Friday games in St. Louis 6 days later. Certainly we'll see maximum effort from the Volunteers, but that could be a potential play-in game to the NCAA tournament for Georgia. Sims with another dunk. And a timeout called.
Although I think the 8 that are projected to be in now, we're going to have at least one of those teams fall out, and one of these teams that are on the rise slip in.
See what Mark Fox has done in the last 4 seasons with UGA. 1 trip to the NCAA tournament, Similar record this year, improving to 16-12 today if his team can finish this game off. Mayton gets fouled, and only a second comes off the clock. Virginia so far pitching the shutout, by the way, against the Pitt Panthers, up 8-0, top-ranked Cavaliers. And Tony Bennett playing at the Pitt Panthers, who are 0-16 in conference play.
Cavs doing what they do, D'ing up. It's interesting to talk to Mark Fox about this college basketball scandal, and he seems somewhat pleased that some of the things that have been going on for so long in college basketball is starting to get addressed, starting to get pushed out of the game. You think about all the talent that comes out of Georgia. Georgia maybe will get some of those players. They're coming through the high school ranks to land here in Athens going forward.
Edwards for three, short. And let's see if Will Wade calls him off here. He does. And Georgia will bring it back out and celebrate a 93-82 victory. Dogs improved to 16-12 on the season, 7-9 in conference play. LSU falls to that mark in the SEC, 16-12 overall. Barry, this was fun, my friend. Enjoyed being with you. For Barry Booker, I'm Taylor Zarzer. Georgia beats LSU 93-82. Let's send you out to Pittsburgh as the Panthers host #1 Virginia.